Hello everybody and welcome back to F1 22 with me, Dan, and the Slothz racing team. About to prepare for race 3 of 16 today, and this time I actually did remember to go through and do the activities. We'll get a couple of these for boosting team acclaim, just to try and get that 4th sponsor, and then go shooting off towards the next race. And let's see if we can get any extra upgrades as well in a moment. In terms of where we are with Aero, we're 4th worst at the moment, which isn't terrible, but you know, we want to be doing a bit more than that, and also rushing towards Spec 2 for the chassis department. But yeah, no upgrades on this occasion. Decided to keep the points just for the time being, and then head off to the race. And there's a look at the performance graph just for your eyes, just to see where we are. 3rd from the bottom, but we're punching above our weight in terms of our driving ability against the AI. Not so much Teo Porsche's, and given the fact that Alpine are not 3rd in the championship, just goes to show that the driver does make all of the difference. Anyway, over to the practice modes, and we'll get the points for sure in P1 and run out of time completely to do anything else. Over to P2, again, go for the points if anything, and just try and get the car to be the best it can be. There's not much on offer in terms of actual upgrade discounts to get beyond this, which is a little bit of a shame, but sometimes when you start running out of R&D items to invest in, you start to get stuck with the reliability upgrades, which is slowly starting to happen. And now we have to toss up. Do we want ERS, or ERS? It looks like ERS is going to win this one. Oh, there's an internal combustion engine reliability improvement over there as well. We're not going to go for that one. 2nd ERS upgrade on the way. Unfortunately, that one did fail. And, well, it's okay. We've got another one. Internal combustion engine was the only other one I could really do without having to go for fuel economy, and let's be honest, that's not really an issue at the moment. And here we are over to the race, round 3 of 16. As I said before, unfortunately we are not missing the S this time, and it is indeed the Spanish Grand Prix. And well, we'll be hoping to continue our fairly successful run of points finishes, starting with Saudi Arabia and then culminating in Miami just last week with a fairly good result, I would say, for us. Don't forget to like this video, hit that subscribe button, and turn on that notification bell so you can see if we can continue it beyond this race as well. But for now, let's get on with the starting grid, and we've got a Spaniard on the front row. It's Charles Leclerc alongside Carlos Sainz, followed by another Spaniard, Fernando Alonso. He's alongside Max Verstappen on the 2nd row. Then we have Sergio Perez. He's alongside Lewis Hamilton in the lead of Mercedes. Behind them we have me alongside George Russell in the other Mercedes. And rounding out the top 10 we have the 2 Alpines of Esteban Ocon and Lance Stroll. Behind them we have Daniel Ricciardo in the Alfa Romeo alongside Yuki Tsunoda in the Alfa Tauri. And behind them we have Alex Albon with a good qualifying. He's alongside Kevin Magnussen in the Haas. Then we have Lando Norris with a bit of a grid penalty, bumping him down to 15th alongside Pierre Gasly. Then Robert Schwartzman alongside Mick Schumacher nearer the back of the field, followed by our teammate Teo Porcher. He's alongside Nicholas Latifi, who for once is not on the back row. It is in fact Zhou Guanyu and Oscar Piastri. Well, here we are then for the Spanish Grand Prix, starting in the top 10 again. Let's see if we can get further up the order than we could in Miami and try and get onto the podium. But it's a bit of a crazy start going on here. A bit of jostling for position up ahead. Fernando Alonso trying to get further up the field. And looks as though we've allowed George Russell to go up the inside of us into turn 1. Not the best of starts for us. And now we've got the likes of Lance Stroll, who's probably looking to crash into us. Probably. It is Lance Stroll. Anyway, we'll continue our pursuit of George Russell as we open the steering up a little bit too early there and run a little wide. Stroll will attempt to go around the outside, but we close him off there using all the space available up to the back of Russell's diffuser, even admittedly going underneath it if necessary, and continuing on up the hill. Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez seem to be resolving their differences in the battle for P5. George Russell as well now looking to try and get round the Red Bull. And he might do it. No, he's not. He's going to be closed out, and he's going to have to sit back here and wait just like the rest of us. Of course, we'll be hoping to replicate the disgusting straight line speed we had in Miami and try and get past some of these cars on the pit straight. But, of course, it also depends on us having a good run out of this corner here, which, as I was finding throughout this weekend, was not the easiest thing to be doing. And there you can see Lance Stroll has actually got a pretty good run on us right now, and he's going to go around the outside into turn 1. He briefly takes P8, but we're going to hold on to that position and force him back. Massive touch of oversteer there as we come out into turn 3. Lance Stroll's going to be having another look at us now. The arrow is still there. He is coming up the inside, late on the brakes that time. Somehow has not hit us yet. In fact, either of these two behind us are good contenders for that. Late on the brakes again, but we force him the long way around and close the door on him before he has the chance. And he's actually lost the position there to his teammate, which, at least for the time being, might be good for us. And as we go onto the back straight, we are very clearly safe from Esteban Ocon. Talking of which, actually, Lance Stroll seems to have dropped down the order somewhat with a technical problem, and now we're getting our first run at George Russell with DRS. You can see that we're closing in just over 200 miles an hour there. I'll be curious to see what he's getting down the straight. But for now, we're going to have to sit behind him for, well, another lap. We've got the pits at the end of this lap, which I believe will be further ahead of anybody else. We seem to be coming in quite early. I'm not sure why. Maybe it's the tyre wear. Who knows? But Hamilton and Perez up ahead, still leading this train. The leaders, by the way, are a Ferrari of undisclosed identity. Oh, it's Charles Leclerc. And he's followed by Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, who is holding off quite comfortably Fernando Alonso in P4. As we get another touch of oversteer there, the tyres are really beginning to fall away there as we come round. They're about to come into the pit lane, and about time too, I would say, given that the state of the tyres, allowing us to slide around all over the place as they were, down into the tricky section, which for some reason they insist on keeping at every Grand Prix, rather than just having a straight corner. Straight corner, that's a good one. Anyway, George Russell stays out. Lewis Hamilton and Sergio Perez come in, and we follow these two down the pit lane. Looks like we've had Charles Leclerc come in as well. In fact, not too many people are coming in at the moment. There's the Ferrari. We pull into our pit box, and it's a late change on the front left there. We're going to be losing a bit of time, quite a bit of time. That's a number of seconds that we've wasted there trying to get that tyre off, and that will cost us greatly. Just how much it's cost us is on display right now. Lap 9, we rejoin up ahead Esteban Ocon, who was behind us quite some way earlier on, and well, if it weren't for the fact that Zhou Guanyu insisted on staying out on the medium tyres whilst being overtaken by the leaders, then we may have had a problem here. But we are in the top 10, and everyone ahead has been held up quite nicely, so we are not out of this yet. And I would have thought that we'd be a little bit faster than at least some of the cars ahead of us when the time comes to try and get past them. And of course, they'll be battling away. Esteban Ocon looking very close to the back of Sergio Perez now. We seem to have lost quite a few positions, actually, looking at that. He was behind Lewis Hamilton at one stage, and now George Russell's got the overcut on him. And Charles Leclerc, well, was already ahead, but has managed to lose out quite considerably somehow. Anyways, we come around the corner now, and there's been a massive pile up there that loads of cars there. It's Fernando Alonso stopped on track, and he's caused absolute chaos. There, we managed to get past everybody. What a fantastic way to get back into this race, although we have got a Mercedes right up our ass, which for those people that drive is not an unfamiliar feeling. Fernando Alonso quite happy to just drive off away from the incident at this stage. And looking back, it looks as though George Russell's actually lost out quite considerably there, dropping all the way down to the bottom end of the top 10, leaving just Yuki Tsunoda and Alex Albon in close pursuit, actually, and Daniel Ricciardo as well. We'll have to see if anyone's going to come into the pit lane now, because there could have been some end plates chopped off there from the accident, which we will have another look at in a moment. For now, though, we've managed to get a comfortable lead over Lewis Hamilton. And we've got the DRS and Alonso. We are okay. Russell into the pits. On board with Alonso. So it comes around into turn 4. Absolutely bins it. And looks as though Hamilton hits his front wing into the wheel of Alonso. And I'm guessing that was George Russell crashing into the back of Hamilton. This was our perspective of that. Lock up, not expected to see a group of 5 cars parked on the circuit. And this was the view from poor George Russell. He was collected in this incident. There's Hamilton and Leclerc going through, and yep, straight into the back of his teammate. Probably not helping Hamilton out too much there either, causing some diffuser damage. Big dust trail from us as we go flying around the outside. Anyway, by some miracle, we're actually driving around with the fastest lap, despite the fact that we're now out of DRS range of Alonso. And not exactly the fastest around this circuit, to be honest, as we got a yellow flag up ahead. There's a Ferrari going slow on the map. It looks like Charles Leclerc does have a problem. There he goes. Engine is dead. Absolutely dead. And that means that up ahead, Fernando Alonso onto the podium for the second race in a row. He'll be in P3, and it looks as though we will need to steal a podium off him again. Maybe we can do it this time. This was Leclerc's issue. Just lost his power. Anyway, here we go. Lap 15, lap 16 of 17. We've got Fernando Alonso up ahead. And we are gaining quite massively there against the McLaren, which is by far a superior car in almost every single way, if you look at the performance indexes. And he is somewhat pulling away through these corners, but our straight line speed is something formidable, that is for sure. As you see another touch of oversteer there as we drive around. It's an absolute miracle that we're keeping us on the track, and I get to finally see the full order at the moment. Incredibly, Alex Albon is still in the top 10 for Williams, and further down the order, Théo Pourchaire up to 17th. I don't know if that's particularly good for him. I've not really been paying attention as we go on board with the worst camera angle in the history of Formula 1, showing absolutely nothing that's going on circuit. Further down the order, Lance Stroll, after that issue earlier, is pottering around behind our teammate in 18th place. And George Russell somehow has not been able to recover at all and is still 20th behind an Aston Martin that, funnily enough, was holding him up just a few laps before he got into his accident. But we come round onto lap 17 of 17 with the final turn. It's our one shot to get past Fernando Alonso. It does look like we're closing up there as we get into the slipstream. We're going to go round the outside into turn 1, taking all of the track possible. And we get him! We've got the McLaren this time. We've knocked a Spaniard off the podium to the fury of the crowd. They are chucking items of varying weight into the circuit in an attempt to suck them into our air intakes and blow up our car. But we've managed to avoid all of the debris. They will not be happy with us. They've gone still and silent. The crowd barely able to wave their flags over in the distance as the devastation hits them that Fernando Alonso is not on the podium. He's still got a chance of coming back, but down this straight he's got absolutely no shot as we finally get a good use of this camera angle to watch Fernando Alonso disappear into the distance. He does close up in the braking zone. And we're probably going to, yes we do, cut away to a completely different camera angle so we can't actually see how much he's closing up. The crowd absolutely devastated at the sight of it. Carlos Sainz did manage to get on the podium, but they weren't here for him. They were here for Fernando Alonso, who has been knocked off the podium again. I say again, it's only happened the one time. We couldn't do it last time, but we're going to cross the line with a massive accident, which has got the Spanish cheering. Look at that. They love it. Seeing the man that beat their hero crash into the pit wall as we get beached on the turf. We pick up driver of the day, which is always a nice sign. And, well, we get to see the winner of today's race. It's another Red Bull driver this time. It is Sergio Perez. I forget who... Sergio Perez is Max Verstappen. Of course it is. He allowed us to touch him there as we shook his hand before going up to the podium. And we go and congratulate the Red Bull mechanics for some strange reason. I'm not sure if you caught that in the background. Go back and have a look at the footage. I was definitely shaking hands with Red Bull mechanics. But anyway, there we go. Celebrating in style by just being awkward as fuck on the podium, as Carlos Sainz pours what he believes to be acid over Max Verstappen. And here we are with the final results. Of course, Max Verstappen took the win, followed by Carlos Sainz, and then ourselves rounding up the podium with the fastest lap. Then we had Fernando Alonso, Lewis Hamilton, Esteban Ocon, Sergio Perez, Yuki Tsunoda, Alex Albon, and Daniel Ricciardo. So moving over to the Drivers' Championship, Max Verstappen takes the lead over teammate Sergio Perez. They're followed by Fernando Alonso and George Russell, tied for third place. Then we have ourselves on 35 in fifth. Then Charles Leclerc, Lewis Hamilton, Carlos Sainz, Esteban Ocon, and Yuki Tsunoda rounding out the top 10. Further down the order, we have Lando Norris, Alex Albon, Pierre Gasly, Daniel Ricciardo, Lance Stroll, Kevin Magnussen, Robert Schwartzman, Mick Schumacher, Oscar Piastri, Teo Pourchaire, Nicholas Latifi, and Zhou Guanyu. And finally over to the constructors. Red Bull are very comfortably in the lead ahead of Mercedes and Ferrari. Then we have McLaren, Slothz, Alpine, AlphaTauri, Williams jumping up to 8th, Alfa Romeo, Haas, and then Aston Martin. That's all for now. We'll catch you for next race in Monaco.